Ja, wir machen dann sofort weiter. Noch zwei Stellungnahmen, bevor wir zur Elektromagnetik kommen. Ich rufe dann auf jetzt Rex 421, EU-Strategie für Zentralasien, Beitrag der Zivilgesellschaft. Hier sind wir vom lettischen Ratsvorsitz aufgefordert worden. Berichterstatter war Jonathan Piel. Er ist schon da. Herzlich willkommen. Und als Mitberichterstatter haben wir unseren Kollegen Fornea. Jetzt habe ich das richtig ausgesprochen, endlich mal. Beide haben eigentlich zusammen 5 Minuten, das klappt nie, aber wir versuchen das mal. Jonathan.
Thank you very much, Vice President. This opinion has been produced at the specific request of the incoming Latvian Presidency, and I would like to thank all those who enabled this opinion to be produced at speed, not least the Co-Rapporteur, the President of the Study Group, indeed all the members of the Study Group, and the Secretariat. I regret that there was only time for one meeting of the Study Group. The EU Partnership Strategy for Central Asia, which was launched in 2007, has to be reviewed every 2 years. This is currently in hand, although it should have happened at least 6 months ago. And as someone has described this partnership strategy as a halfway between a policy expression and a full strategy, because its score sheet, sadly, is rather mixed. So therefore, I particularly welcome the efforts and the priority given to this by the Latvian presidency, who are looking to produce Council conclusions as early as next month. And as their aim was to have the EESC voice heard, they're looking for us to substantially stimulate member state discussion. Again, a reason why we had to produce this at a very fast rate. I certainly welcome, I think we all do, that the Latvian presidency has set the deepening of EU relations with these 5 countries as one of its foreign policy priorities. And they specifically asked us to look and focus on the areas for cooperation with these 5 very different countries and to look and build that into effective partnerships. Now, we're all well aware that these countries are mostly resource-rich, they're fairly despotic, in general they do not get on well with each other, and underlying that there's a latent hostility to the West. But of course the wider picture involving Russia post-Crimea is also key to this. Central Asia is a major world crossroads. The former Russia-inspired customs union.
Können die Kollegen, die rausgehen wollen, einfach rausgehen, dann kann der Berichterstatter nämlich auch voll vernünftig vortragen. Bitte nicht in den Gängen stehen, gehen Sie einfach raus und trinken eine Tasse Kaffee.
Former Russian customs union has now become the Eurasian Economic Union. Kazakhstan is a member, Kyrgyzstan is joining, Tajikistan is expected to join. But of course there are a lot of other links with Russia, migrant workers from most of these countries in Russia. Language is something they all have in common, and other strong post-Soviet links remain. And of course we must never forget the Russian fear of encirclement, which goes back a very long time in history. But the Chinese involvement is also highly significant, and we'll see the figures in 322. President Xi last year launched the Silk Road economic belt, and indeed all our links with China are important, but in Central Asia our transport and energy links are particularly important. The most successful part of the strategy so far has been the strengthened links with Kazakhstan in particular, and I was delighted that the enhanced partnership and cooperation agreement was signed last year, and we look forward to that coming into effect, because we are Kazakhstan's largest investor and Kazakhstan's largest trading partner. So in keeping with the presidency request, we're looking for these areas of cooperation, and a number immediately suggest themselves. First, of course, is developing and promoting contact with local civil society to strengthen the local human rights dialogues run by the Commission, to make sure that these are more appropriate and more relevant to what local civil society is looking for, and to promote their use of Hasha self-help community groups in particular. The second area I think we can make a particular impact in Central Asia as the EU is in that of education. So far, EU focus has been on higher level education, but I do believe that we can look further at secondary education, not only with textbook shortages, but also greater teacher training, and perhaps that could be done through rural development programs. Thirdly, I think there's an enhanced role for the member states who joined the EU after 2000, because they can share the problems they had with the move from command economies, and they can also help in making sure that these countries accept the role of civil society. Very briefly, Mr. President, because I realise we're running out of time, the other areas I think that are most important are transport and energy corridors, Trasea, the extension of the Eastern Partnership, the Black Sea Strategy, all these are highly relevant. I think the improvement of energy efficiency and deployment of renewable energy is also an area where we can make a real difference, because energy efficiency and renewable energy have largely untapped potential in these 5 countries. The water issue has already been well recognized by the EU strategy. We ought to push that, but we can't do that much more on trade and investment while only 2 of the 5 countries are members of the WTO. So, Mr. Vice President, that's the introduction to the opinion. I look forward to the debate. Thank you.
Ja, vielen Dank, Jonathan. Vielen Dank, Jonathan. Jetzt hast du aber für beide schon die ganze Zeit weggenommen. Aber wir haben ein bisschen Zeit. Dumitru, du hast das Wort zur Ergänzung.
Vă mulțumesc, domnule președinte, pentru amabilitate. Cred că Jonathan a spus tot ce era de spus cu privire la acest aviz. În primul rând, trebuie să subliniez și eu contribuția colegilor letoni din cadrul Comitetului Economic și Social European, în primul rând domnului Gobins, doamna Albertina Ariadna și celorlalți colegi din Ministerul de Afaceri Externe al Letoniei. Un alt colaborator al nostru a fost domnul Luc Veron, din cadrul Direcției a Serviciului pentru Acțiune Externă al Comisiei Europene, și în acest sens vreau să vă spun că deja materialul, documentele, opiniile noastre sunt introduse în raportul de progres pe care l-a publicat Comisia Europeană la data de 13 ianuarie și care va fi prezentat Consiliului Uniunii Europene. Deci toată munca care s-a făcut într-un timp relativ scurt va fi reflectată și în dezbaterile din Consiliu. O contribuție importantă a avut doamna Else Bunstra, care este din Secretariatul Rex, care ne-a ajutat enorm pentru a organiza într-un timp scurt toate aceste discuții. O ultimă frază este legată de aspectul geopolitic al acestei opinii. Eu cred că este cel mai important. Asia Centrală este o cheie geopolitică pe care Uniunea Europeană nu poate să o rateze. În procesul inevitabil al globalizării, țările din Asia Centrală nu pot să nu participe. Ori această cale către o integrare regională și globală a acestor state trece prin infrastructurile de transport, energie și telecomunicații care sunt necesare a fi făcute în zonă. Ori în acest sens, Federația Rusă, China și Uniunea Europeană sunt parteneri cheie. Deschizând această zonă comerțului global, afacerilor globale, comerțului cu energie și așa mai departe, ne asigurăm nouă Uniunii Europene securitatea energetică, iar pe de altă parte putem să asigurăm noi domenii, cum ar fi, de exemplu, relațiile cu Iranul. O zonă în care un dosar care stă în suspensie, dar un dosar care poate să rezolve probleme importante ale Uniunii Europene, mai ales în materie de securitate energetică. Eu cred că acesta a fost sensul și obiectivul cu care a venit președinția letonă. A dorit să aibă o abordare pragmatică vis-a-vis de relațiile cu aceste țări, iar restul de aspecte pe care le-am dezbătut de-a lungul timpului, democrația, societatea civilă, drepturile omului, buna guvernanță, toate se regăsesc și în opinia noastră, dar noi de data aceasta am subliniat foarte mult importanța de a intra în aspecte pragmatice, aspecte pe care ni le solicită și partenerii noștri din Asia Centrală. Vă mulțumesc!
Ja, vielen Dank, Dumitru. Wir haben keine Änderungsanträge, aber wir haben eine Rednerliste, die eröffnet ist. Und gleich auch wieder, ich warte noch mal, jetzt ist sie auch geschlossen und Herr Gobins hat das Wort.
Prezident kungs, cienījamās dāmas un kungi, es gribētu iesākt ar dziļu pateicību ziņotājam un līdziņotājam par šī atzinuma veidošanu. Atzinums ir tapis ļoti īsā, ļoti saspringtā laikā, bet tas nav viņus ierobežojis kvalitātē. Šis atzinums nesenā hearingā, publiskā uzklausīšanā ieguva izcilas atsauksmes no visdažādākiem Eiropas komisijas ģenerāldirektorātiem, no Latvijas prezidentūras un arī no Centrālā Azijas un to dažādo valstu ekspertiem. Šis atzinums tātad ir ļoti vajadzīgā un īstā brīdī tapis. Centrālā Azijas lielās debatas padomē šobrīd sākas, un Latvijas prezidentūra ir pievērsusi arī mūsu atzinumam īpašu uzmanību. Jonathans Pīls jau 11. februārī viesosies Rīgā, Latvijā, kur kopā ar ārlietu ekspertiem diskutēs un prezentēs šo atzinumu jau plašākai auditorijai, un tas nebūtu nav pirmais vai vienīgais šāda veida pasākums. Es gribētu īpaši pateikties arī Latvijas prezidentūrai par šī atzinuma pieprasīšanu, jo šīs atzinums dzima pasākumā, ko līdzveidoja pilsoniskā sabiedrība un ārlietu ministrija pagājušā gada rudenī. Tātad šis ir kopīgi dzimis un šīs vistiešākā veidā līdzdalīgi tapis arī šī atzinuma ideju. Un īpaši pateicība šī sakarā Diānai Poķomkinai, kas arī ir mana vietniece Ekonomikas sociālo lietu komiteja un Guntai Pastorei no ārlietu ministrijas. Es gribētu noslēgt ar to, ka atzinuma tematika Centrālā Azija, tāpat kā Austrumu partnerības valstis, ir Latvijas prezidentūras prioritāte. Par šīm prioritātēm un šī konkrētā dokumenta arī tālāk izmantošanu rītdien, protams, būs plašāka diskusija. Liels paldies vēlreiz visiem un īpaši paldies par to, ka mēs atzinumā nerunājam par reģionu kopumā, bet šī dažādība, šo atsevišķo valstu dažādība, tā ir uzsvērta un tiešām ļoti specifiski šos jautājumus mēs atbildam. Liels paldies vēlreiz ziņotājiem un līdziņotājiem, aicinu balsot par.
Ja, vielen Dank, Herr Gobins. Das war viel Lob und jetzt kommt höchstwahrscheinlich noch Lob dazu. Herr de Buck.
Thank you. I want to thank the rapporteur and the co-rapporteur for their work. I was part of the working group under the presidency of Mr. Gobbins. Everybody was enthusiastic. I have agreed to support that opinion in the International Affairs section, but here I want to express a different view and to say that I will abstain for the three following reasons. First, I think it's not really useful for this committee to have such an important subject debated in a working group only for 3 hours, having a hearing afterwards. This doesn't take away the efforts of the rapporteur, of the co-rapporteur, but I think we have to work seriously on this subject. The second reason is that since this strategy was put in place in 2007, in fact, nothing has happened. And when you listen carefully to the external services, I fear that nothing will happen. They were not able to go into details of what will be undertaken, what will be the next steps in that strategy. And the third one, even though the opinion underlines that you have to look at countries by countries. For the Commission and for the external services, it is a global strategy, and this global strategy will not work at all because this is not an integrated region. And when I underlined that in the hearing, the answer I got from the representative of the services was sometimes Europe takes its ideas as an aim, but they will not be able, as a desire, they will not be able to fulfill that. So I will personally abstain, but I don't ask the others to do the same.
Ja, vielen Dank, Herr de Boeck. Jetzt bin ich aber auf die Antwort gespannt, gerade auch aufgrund Ihres Rednerbeitrages, was Jonathan Piel dazu sagen hat.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice President. Well, the first thing I have to say is I'd like to, in turn, thank Mr. Gobbins for his very important role for bringing us together with the Latvian presidency so we could understand exactly what they were looking for and to make sure that we could work as closely with them to give a specific committee response to their request. If we hadn't had the links that he built with the Latvian presidency, we could so easily have passed by each other in the night, as they say, but we didn't. We spoke to them, and I trust that we can continue to work together to use this opinion. I just turn to Philippe and say that I'm disappointed that you feel you have to abstain, and I'll give you 3 reasons in return. First of all, yes, we only had 1 meeting of the study group. But isn't it more important that this opinion goes to the Council for its conclusions next month? If we'd had a second study group, we would not be discussing this in plenary until the middle of February, and we'd have missed the boat. And the point is that we want to get our opinion in time when it really matters. Your second point was nothing really has happened. Well, exactly. I did say it was a mixed score sheet, but I think some things have happened. I think we have got a lot of mechanisms on the ground that we would not have had before. We have the human rights dialogues, which at least are working in 2 or 3 of the countries, particularly Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan, which have actually changed the laws as a result of these human rights dialogues. That would not have happened without the strategy. We have the educational boost, which is happening at higher level, Erasmus+, but we're recommending it should also happen at secondary level. And thirdly, I think we have developed our relationship with Kazakhstan, which is an important country and a key player. And I think that has come a long way, and this strategy has certainly helped with Kazakhstan. You also say, Philippe, that you think this should be a global strategy for an integrated region, but these are 5, as you say, very separate countries. But the region is geopolitically very, very important, as the co-rapporteur has said. It is a global crossroads. It's where Russia meets China, meets Iran. It meets our links going east. It's the extension of the Black Sea strategy. It's the extension of the Eastern Partnership. It's an extension of our relationship with China. And in time, it could affect other countries as well. So I think it is very important that we do look at this part of the world. Many member states will have links from former Soviet times with this area, and I think we would be absolutely wrong to turn our back on it. So I hope you're alone in abstaining. Thank you.
Sunt un pic debusolat, să spun așa, de reținerea domnului De Boeck vis-a-vis de acest aviz, în condițiile în care o serie întreagă de capitole și paragrafe fac referire la mediul de afaceri. Dacă era să discutăm despre problemele sindicale sau problemele societății civile în aceste state, poate că abținerile erau chiar mult mai multe. Noi am încercat să identificăm o formulă pragmatică de a aborda problemele legate de această regiune și de a răspunde cu anumite argumente că merită să ne concentrăm mai mult asupra relațiilor cu aceste state. Dumneavoastră spuneți că nu s-a făcut nimic. Tocmai din raportul de progres al Comisiei Europene rezultă că pentru exercițiul 2014-2020 fondurile dedicate pentru cooperare bilaterală și regională a Uniunii Europene cu aceste state vor fi în jur de 1 miliard de euro. Asta înseamnă o creștere de aproximativ 56% față de ceea ce a fost alocat în perioada 2007-2013. Deci un prim pas în finanțarea acțiunilor privind această regiune. Trebuie să ținem cont că există o comisie interguvernamentală în care aparțin și state membre ale Uniunii Europene, în speță România și Bulgaria, dar este și Turcia implicată, plus celelalte state membre, care lucrează la ora actuală pentru probleme ce privesc transportul rutier și feroviar. Deci situația în zonă progresează într-un ritm destul de lent, dar nu înseamnă că nu s-a întâmplat nimic. De fapt, unele experiențe sunt chiar notabile. Pe de altă parte, sunt de acord cu dumneavoastră că ar fi important ca noi să avem o prezență concretă în regiune. Din raporturile Comisiei, și dumneavoastră știți foarte bine din prezentarea făcută de domnul Veron, rezultă foarte clar că nu s-au mai făcut evenimente de câțiva ani în zona respectivă. Motiv pentru care și noi, în mod oral, în cadrul evenimentelor respective, dar și scris, am solicitat ca pe parcursul acestui an a președinției letone, acestui semestru, să organizăm Comitetul Economic și Social European împreună cu Comisia Europeană și alte organizații, președinția letonă și alte organizații din statele membre respective, să organizăm un eveniment important în regiune. Nu știm dacă o vom putea să facem sau nu, dar din ce am văzut la disponibilitățile bugetare ale comitetului care nu au fost cheltuite, nu cred că ar fi o sarcină de netrecut. Președinția letonă are un program la sfârșitul lunii aprilie, o conferință foarte importantă la care vor participa toate țările din Asia, China, Afganistan, Pakistan, India și așa mai departe, inclusiv țările din regiunea pe care o tratăm noi astăzi. Această conferință regională va fi deosebit de importantă pentru că va stabili noi coridoare de transport feroviar între China și Europa. Nu mai vorbim de avantajele care ar fi deschizând țări cum ar fi Pakistanul și India, poate că sunt vise, dar acestea sunt aspecte care sunt puse pe agenda, Comisia le va lua în considerare și, într-adevăr, și cu ajutorul organizațiilor patronale, poate că se va reuși să se facă mai mult în viitor în această regiune. Eu vă mulțumesc pentru sprijin și sper ca ceilalți să votați pentru. Mulțumesc!
Ja, erstmal vielen Dank an alle, die an der Debatte teilgenommen haben. Das war wirklich sehr interessant, auch an den Berichterstatter. Es liegen keine Änderungsanträge vor und wenn Herr de Buck sich das doch überlegt und seine Enthaltung nicht wahr macht, dann darf hier im Raum kein anderer sich enthalten, damit man das nachher auch sieht. So, die Abstimmung ist eröffnet.